Then the other component that I would like the council to consider, and I did it this year as the mayor, is to elect a Citizen of the Year during the week of Government Week. We do a lot as a governing body. Our administration does a lot, our police officers does a lot, but our residents do a lot, and a lot of them do, and picking one is generally pretty hard to do. The one resident that had come to mind when all of this was coming together as far as Government Week was David Ward. David Ward has been a resident since, I believe, spring of 2014, and he quietly moved into the village. No one really knew, had flags arrived throughout the whole town. I remember asking Councilperson Mathis, because it was all in his block, and I was like, "Did you do that?" He said, no, there's a new guy in town, and he initiated that. And I was just like, oh, it's pretty neat. And then from there, it just sort of took off, and he's just always available. He initiates so many efforts. And as I read the proclamation, it'll talk a little bit about what he's done in our town. And he doesn't always necessarily agree with what we do and how we vote, but it doesn't matter. He's still kind. He's still straightforward. And we may agree to disagree, but he's still that person where he's always the first to call, first to email, first to volunteer, first to initiate. And again, there's so many residents in that sort of level, but he just stuck out because he was so new. He moved in and bang, everybody knows David Ward. So with that said, with the pleasure of the council, I'm going to read a proclamation, and I've asked David Ward to please come to the podium, and I'll read the proclamation and present it to you on behalf of the council. Then we'll come all down and take a picture. It's a little long.
Did you write it?
It's a little long. Hello, okay. Albertown, Florida proclamation. Whereas the Citizen of the Year award is given in recognition of extraordinary community service and volunteerism in an effort to make our village, the village of Albertown, Florida, the best place to live, work, and play. And whereas the Citizen of the Year shows commitment, support, respect, leadership, responsibility, a positive attitude, cooperation, and honesty. And whereas the Citizen of the Year consistently provides a positive image for the Albertown community, promotes the general welfare of the community, and is active in many community events and organizations. And whereas the Citizen of the Year gives freely of his time and energy for the community betterment. Whereas David Ward, resident of the village of Albertown since 2014, has and continues to demonstrate the aforementioned attributes. And whereas David Ward initiated and decorated our village with many American flags planted around town annually to celebrate Independence Day, and now it's an annual tradition. And whereas David Ward, as a key member of the 2015-2016 Mayor's Task Force, reinvigorated today's Citizen Crime Watch, initiated Home of the Month, and greatly contributed to our annual art fair. And whereas David Ward continues to serve as an exemplary neighbor, friend, and stakeholder in our community. And whereas during the week of October 22nd through the 28th, 2018, Florida City Government Week, the time to honor and recognize residents who have selflessly volunteered the time for the betterment of the village. And whereas David Ward has been part of making our village a better place to live, work, and play where everyone matters. And I now, therefore, Mayor of the Village of Albertown, Florida, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, October 28th, as Citizen of the Year, David Ward Day. We put a picture on the top of the flag in front of the state office. So the council wants to come down to. Now they've been great. And I had to leave some stuff out because I was going to go on forever. Here, you can figure out my notes on. It's still I don't have my phone.
Very close.
Huh?
Closer.
Put in the dress for the occasion.
Thank you. What happened?
Okay, thank you for that moment. Anybody in Good and Welfare would like to come up and say anything at this moment? Dr. Ward?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My name is Jennifer Campbell, and I'm the Executive Director of the American Heart Association. And thank you, 4000 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, Florida. And I just wanted to reiterate, we got here a little bit late, but thank you for having us on the agenda at the beginning. And I wanted to reiterate what Brian shared with you all about the Miami Heart Walk coming up on November 18th, and request that you all will participate in the Heart Walk and forming Heart Walk teams and also being a part of that day. As Brian shared, there's many other cities within Miami-Dade County who are going to be a part of that day, and we're very excited as it comes to really promoting the health and well-being of all of our citizens in Miami-Dade. And with heart disease being our #1 threat and 80% of that being preventable, it's very important for us to get to as many people within all the cities in Miami-Dade and share those preventable pieces of it. So I just want to thank you so much for allowing to be a part of that, and also following up with the Madam Manager and later regarding the Heart Walk.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions for thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, we have a full agenda. Yes. Dr. Ward. No, but if you still talk into it, the camera can set up for the residents at home.
And like Ward for 15 months, any terrorist South. Two things. David introduced us to Uma. We didn't know where she lived. You told us where she lived. That's how he was. He was out in the yard and he just passed. Congrats to you, David.
Yeah.
And he told us where she lived. But we've been looking for her and we couldn't find her. Because you told me to go by and see her. Couldn't quite get where she was. But David did that. I remember that. Secondly, if you all do not know, we lost two good residents this week. Back to back, they were on both sides of Miss Maple. Everybody knows Miss Maple, she walks a lot. The neighbor on the left was George Derrick Joy. And everybody remembers Derrick Joy because he wrote a column. He passed away suddenly on, was it Wednesday, baby?
Well, it was actually,
It was actually Tuesday, we got the word. It was actually Tuesday, just suddenly. And as you all remember, especially you, Mathis, he used to write a column for the Miami Times and the Westside Gazette. He carried us for many a year. And the first one that passed away was last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago. Miss Virginia and Richards. We know Miss Richards because she was the one that kept us all informed on 88 Terrace. Her husband is Fitzroy. We did many of the yards years ago when he was elderly, became elderly and very sick. Very upstanding people. Virginia would be here at most of the events. She passed away very suddenly, bout with cancer. With that in mind, we know that this is Breast Cancer Month. October, so it's kind of hitting us kind of hard. We know our neighbors on 88 Terrace. We know everybody in Glendale Manor, as a matter of fact. That's the area that we live in. So it's pink month. And I apologize. I meant to make that an emphasis this month, but I totally was involved in other events. But it comes pretty close when you have a neighbor that two neighbors living here at the same time in the same, pretty much within the same 2 weeks. So on behalf of the Richards family and the Joy family, we so nice just to let the council know if you want to send a card to the families with some upstanding more than 25-year residents in our village. Secondly, and you would know Rose, Ruby. Ruby would come to a lot of the events, and at one point was a member of the women's club. With that in mind, my only last comment, you may not stay to the end. I'd like to recommend something. I'd like to recommend that, if possible, because I think the council does a good job. I think you take care of the business of the city, of the village very well. However, I want to ask that you kind of reduce your committee remarks to paper. That's the only complaint that I've ever had, is that the meeting goes on and on and on, and those comments can really get right, as opposed to taking the time here at the council. And we're expecting a whole lot more people to begin coming. Mr. Dryer, I see that you have no opponent on the ballot. You asked us not to vote because you're already in office. But we're still going to add that to the election. Never mind, those are my comments for this evening. And I hope you all like the addition to the village, which is a 1972 VW camper. If you haven't seen it, keep your eyes open. It's working. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Warren. Anybody else have been on welfare? Hearing none. We have the first resolution is Resolution 2018-27, the site plan approval for 8671 Northeast Miami Avenue. Oh, I have a request. Councilperson Roman and Vice Mayor Christian just told me that the picture did not come out. Would you all let us take the picture one more time? Is that okay? Okay. David, the picture didn't come out.
Oh, okay, I can.
Christy,
Use my camera?
sure.
Right, easy.
Thank you again, David. Well, it's definitely Tuesday. Juan, our planner, just got into a car accident. Oh, no. So he's fine, but he's wrapping up a report. So he would be involved with resolution of the first one. Are you okay if I go to the second one? Talking to the applicant, or is it? Juan from Placervia, our planner, just got into a car accident on his way here. So I'm going to push your item a little bit down and go to item number 2 until he gets here, okay? Okay, Resolution 2018-28, Government Week. I asked the attorney, if you could please put this in the agenda. May you please read that into the record?
Yes, ma'am. A resolution of the Village Council of El Portal, Florida, granting site plan approval for new construction. Excuse me, I apologize. Let me start over. A resolution of the Village Council of El Portal, Florida, granting site plan approval for new.
Resolution 28.
Oh, it's not written right.
Oh, you didn't get the revised, warning?
Oh, the revised one?
Yes,
Right here. Here we go, third time's a charm. A resolution of the Village Council of El Portal, Florida, recognizing Florida City Government Week October 22nd through 28th, 2018, and encouraging all citizens to support the celebration and corresponding activities.
Okay, thank you. As I mentioned in my opening comments, one of the reasons that I felt really important to add this is because one of the recommendations, suggestions that we get often from residents is just being more mindful of what we do and how we do it, and we may do it day in and day out, but the residents don't know the process. So if we go on with our days and so much is going on that we don't remind ourselves that, hey, we got to take a moment and educate our residents. So once we have a resolution, and as next year comes around, we know this is going to be coming up, it'll allow the council, whichever council is here, to say, hey, we have Government Week, which is the third week in October. We're going to plan a Citizens Academy. We're going to plan, whatever the case may be, a town hall, something to bring the residents in, come a coffee with the council, coffee with the mayor, coffee with the manager, and really ask us sort of an open forum question. So it lends for that as a reminder to us. And as well, an opportunity for us collectively to select who that Citizen of the Year would be and make it that week we always pick someone and proclaim that day for them for giving back to the community. So I just asked the council, that's why I put this in at the last minute, if they are okay with the resolution. Is there a motion to accept Resolution 2018-28? Councilperson Roman made a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilperson Mathis. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, Madam Clerk, can I have roll call?
Roll call, Councilperson Dreyer.
Yes.
Councilperson Roman.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis. Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Mayor Rios.
Yes.
Motion passes 5.
Great, thank you. Thank you. The next three, we have a resolution, an ordinance, and a resolution. That all require Juan, Camila. Do you know much longer before he gets here? Let's go ahead and let's do this. Let's go ahead and go with the site plan approval first. It allows the opportunity for the applicant to come up and speak. And then I'm sure there are going to be questions from whether it's the audience or the council. And then hopefully in that time, Juan will be here, okay? Attorney, can you please read the first resolution, 2018-27, into the record?
The resolution of the Village Council of El Portal, Florida, granting site plan approval for new construction of a one-story residence at 8671 Northeast Miami Court in Zone 3, suburban residence in the Village of El Portal. An application by Featured Media LLC, providing for findings, providing for conditions, providing for appeal, providing for violation of conditions, providing for an effective date.
Okay, so just a little overview. This is a new home construction that is going to be off of 87th Street and Northeast Miami Court. Northeast Miami Avenue. They came before the Planning and Zoning Committee, and we collectively agreed to bring them forward to the council. They also took the opportunity and the time to contact all of their neighbors in the block and ask for a petition acknowledging that they love the home and they're accepting it in their block. And one of the reasons that they did it, as the residents will see, is because the type of home is a little different than what we would find normally in the Village of El Portal. As I mentioned earlier, our planner, Juan, got into a car accident, but I'm going to ask the applicant to please come up. It's been a little while. I know you were all traveling, so, refresh our minds and allow the, as well as the residents to see what you have to propose, and then we will take it from there. Any questions? Thank you. You introduce yourself on the microphone, name and address for the record.
It's Capitos, 8671, Northeast Miami Court. Good evening, members of council. Good evening, everyone. So on this vacant lot, we're planning to build our family home. And we've been looking for a vacant lot, since a long time, and in a lot of different places. And when we saw this place, El Portal, for the first time, we just totally fell in love, and seeing peacocks wandering on the streets, it was like, a really dream come true for us. And I'm an architect by profession. I have 2 international awards. So I was blessed with the opportunity of, designing our family home. And, hopefully we would like to start building this home and, looking forward to raise our family here. So I would like to talk perhaps a little bit about the concept of the design. My husband Fabio is from Napoli. He's Italian from Napoli, and there's very important ancient Roman cities there, and one of them is Pompeii. And when we were wandering around Pompeii, we were very much impressed by the Roman type of houses, and we have been discussing one day we have to realize this kind of project. And basically, the Roman villa is an introvert house. So basically, the life goes around in the courtyard. So it has, a privacy aspect. So it, respects privacy of its neighbors as well as its own privacy. I also would like to mention that, this project has been nominated for another award. This award committee is called the International Property Awards. They're based in London. Since 1978, they've been given these awards. And this award committee consists of, world-famous architects and, real estate professionals, people from the construction industry. And, when they issue these awards, they take into account all the aspects of the project. And one of the main aspects is how the proposed project, how the proposed building sits into its context and how it communicates with its immediate context as well as its larger context. In our case, it's of course the context is El Portal, and then on the larger context, it will be Miami. Of course, the design also reflects a response to its climate. And of course, we are blessed with, an amazing tropical climate where the life can go on the exterior, living spaces. So that's why we have designed two separate buildings which are connected to each other through breezeway. And basically we have the night zone and the day zone. And one of the other reasons we've designed it this way is for energy efficiency of the building, so that we can reduce our HVAC costs, basically, that, we only have to regulate the temperature of the, night or the day space as we occupy. That was also part of the design concept. And of course, hurricane is another reality of, South Florida. So we are designing a concrete structure, and the roof is also going to be concrete. And of course, impact windows. So hopefully, God forbid something happens, within the village of El Portal. We are building a bunker that, anyone in the need is very welcome, to come and bring a bottle of wine, perhaps. So, that's all I have to say. If, anybody has any question, I'm happy to answer and go over further details.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Nice seeing you again. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Does the residents that are here today, do you have a copy of this by any chance? You want to come and take this? I have plenty of copies of this.
Does it show views other than what's in these photographs?
I haven't seen that. And it just has, I think,
It's the floor plan of the.
Is this a point where residents can ask?
Yes, if the resident wants to come up, please ask a question. And just so you know, we've talked about it already, and I think we're looking to get another podium so that there can always be two. But for right now, David, if any residents have a question, feel free. I'm going to go ahead and close the council meeting and it'll open up for public comments. The council, I know, has already seen this, and I'm sure some of us are still going to have a lot of questions. So we'd like to hear the residents since our planner is not here anyway. And you can please direct them.
No, you may be able to answer my questions. David Ward, 488 Northeast 90th Street. So, first of all, I love the idea of a courtyard home. And in fact, Lisa and I have talked about one day building a courtyard home similar to that ourselves.
Thank you.
The one concern I have that's maybe not evident from that is how friendly that is to the neighborhood. You have the end view that shows some windows. Can you describe a little bit of that? Because one of my pet peeves in the village are houses that are walled off, houses that are fenced off, houses that are essentially closed off to the rest of the neighborhood. So I'd like to understand a little bit how that design is open to the neighborhood or how it fits into the aesthetics of the neighborhood. Thank you.
I appreciate your comment.
Can you just come to if you want to bring the easel to the podium, because even though, again, you all cannot hear from her, just talk a little loud so the back can hear you.
Sure.
But if the camera picks up on it,
Okay.
for those that are home.
Yeah, so basically this is the facade of the 87th Street. And so basically this is like the two buildings that, you know, I've been explaining, so like the night zone and the day zone. And this area will be, you know, covering the breezeway. So actually the way that we are planning this is that it can be opened completely so that, you know, then the courtyard basically reveals itself. And we would like to design this facade as a green facade. So, you know, our aim is to, you know, have this completely green and covered by the landscaping. Because, you know, the lot has been a nursery for plants. So it's been, you know, for a long time green. So we just want to replace that, you know, on the vertical, basically. But then, you know, on the Northeast Miami Court side, you know, we have like the our office and also, you know, slash garage, let's put it that way, and another bedroom. So basically, we have openings there.
The car park.
Yes, the car park.
The car park is here.
Okay, so there are windows facing Miami Court.
Yes, Northeast Miami Court. But, you know, keep in mind that this is also, we showed it closed here, but, you know, it's a structure that's kind of open and closed. Because we saw this like as a necessity, we could, you know, close it or keep it open, like to get wind or, you know, daylight, whatever, so it has an option to be closed or open.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Does anybody else have a question in the audience? Come on down, Dr. Bird.
Come down.
I mean, up. Come on up.
Incidentally, it's a beautiful concept.
Thank you.
Better than what we saw before, remember that? Well, anybody here remember what it was before? It's gonna be a railroad car. But they're gonna redesign it into a house. Very good concept. My only concern, council, is that the greenery, you're saying it's gonna be against your house, or it's gonna be part of the scenery? Talk to me a little bit about the greenery. I'm nature farm. The reason I moved here is because we're so natural.
Yes.
Are you saying that it's going to be, talk to me again?
You can.
Yeah, so basically, you know, we have like creepers. We have all creepers here on the building facade. So we aim to have, you know, sort of a net structure so that it doesn't completely touch the facade, but it leaves sort of a buffer, and that also helps with the, you know, climate, because you let the air flow through the back of it, and it doesn't damage also, you know, the building in the long run. But seeing from the outside, you will see it like as if it's part of the facade, because the, you know, the gap that we are living is going to be perhaps like, you know, 10 inches, something like that.
So you have wood and.
Yeah, and then we have landscaping, and then we plan to, you know, plant some cocoa plums on the perimeter, but of course, you know, also by code it cannot be higher than, I think, 6 feet, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I mean, landscape will be, you know, a very important part of this project, because, you know, I totally agree with you that we have this amazing canopy here in the village of Red Portal, and, you know, the new projects should definitely correspond to that aspect and, you know, bring in added aesthetics to the.
I'm sorry, but thank you. I'm sorry the planner's not here, but is it going to be elevated off? I understand there used to be flooding in that area. Is it going to be built up? You're going to infill that land? I understand there was flooding over there quite a bit.
Yes, yes. I mean, it is not a flood zone, but you know, looking at the climate change and you know everything. So it's a new construction. We are building it around, nearly 2 feet above the ground. But
Last but not least, do we have a court? Do we have a North Miami court? Because I hear that interchangeably. This is North Miami Avenue that this is being built on.
yes,
Court.
court.
It's court.
Yeah, Mayor Cubillo said
Northeast Miami
Avenue,
Court.
but it's Northeast Miami Court.
Yeah, because it says Southeast, yeah, because you're right on the same street as, what is it, but the staff report says Avenue.
It is.
Oh, no, it says Court.
That's why I'm asking the question, because I think that's the lot that's over from, this, Alou, isn't that the lot that we were talking about last week, last council meeting?
No.
Not that lot?
No, that was.
That's North Miami. That's a different lot.
Okay, so we're talking a little bit north of where we were?
South and west. If you go up 87th Street, when you go home tonight and you go up 87th Street, before you get to the North Miami Avenue, right, it's going to be right, like 2 blocks before,
I got
on
it.
your left-hand side.
I got it. I know exactly where it is. Okay. All right, that's all my questions is right there. Right up the street from us, huh?
Right up the street. Any other questions from any other residents in the audience? We have a staff report. Camila, you want to go over a little bit of the staff report? And then I'll open it back to the council. The residents probably don't have the staff report, so that way you can just walk through the staff report. Talk a little louder, yeah.
Camila Salas with Service Design, 1385 Coral Way. We have prepared a staff report for the previous planning zone review meetings. The applicants they've complied with all the zoning regulations, so the general opinion is that if it's in compliance with what the code requires, then it's in terms of architecture, the code doesn't require any specific regulations, so that is the recommendations. Do you have any questions? There. The setbacks, the coverage, the landscape, it's all in compliance with the zoning code.
Okay, before I open it up back to the council, any other questions to the planner from the residents? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to open it up back to the council. So there is a staff report here, and again, Juan is on here, and what the staff report says that Juan and his team from Placervia put together is staff recommendation approval with conditions. Pursuant of section 1753 requirements and procedures for site plan review, the applicant shows good cause for ensuring the congruity of the proposed development and its compatibility with the surrounding area. The plans proposed comply with the land use regulations and the development standards of this chapter and that of chapter 24. Therefore, approval is recommended for this new construction of a one-story residence subject to the following conditions. Construction of the proposed project shall be in conformance with the following conditions. Number 1, application/supporting documentation. Construction of the proposed project shall be in conformance with the applicant's submittal package dated 11/1/2017 and subsequent revisions. Number 2, all representations proffered by the applicant as part of the review of the application at public hearing. Number 3, all comments made by staff reviewers and submitted to the applicant to be addressed prior to the building permit. Do you want to know what staff reviewers were that?
Any comments that come up?
Okay. Okay, that's based on what Juan from Placervia's recommendation. Are there any questions from the council to Camila? You have a question? Oh, you have a question? Oh, I thought you said you had a question. Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adopt resolution 2018 27 with the change where it says 8671 Northeast Miami? It's got to take out Avenue. It's got to say court on the just make sure the resolution. Give me 1 second. Is there a motion to it? The motion's been made by Councilperson Dre. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Mathis. Discussion. Go ahead, Councilperson.
I just have one question. The landscaping and planning, it's all going to be native trees and plants?
Yes.
Start.
the question was, what if the trees are going to be natives?
Yeah, she said.
Oh, it's right in the resolution. Okay. Okay, any other comments from the council? Okay, Madam Clerk, can I get roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Dreyer.
Yes.
Councilperson Roman.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Mayor Cubillos.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I thought you were going to get a 3-2 if you almost got a plan in zoning. That's good. Okay, congratulations. We're very excited. Just pull all your proper permits. What? We have, okay, the next two that we have is a second reading, which is the ordinance of alcohol beverages and hours of sale, and then we have the medical marijuana, which is the first reading. Give me 1 minute, please. If I can have the attorney please read the ordinance 2018-04.
Ordinance 2018-04, an ordinance of the Village of El Portal, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 3, Alcoholic Beverages, Section 3-1, Hours of Sale, providing for updated hours of sale, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, repealer, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. And for purposes, because it is an ordinance and it is a second reading, Norman, can you read also into the record the change that we're making, the hours?
Hold on, give me 1 second.
So if we can read the actual change, which is section 3.1 or 3-1, first paragraph is where really all the changes that we are recommending.
Right, and there was also a slight change that the applicant requested to clarify the verbiage stay also, so I'll read that into the record. Okay. It shall be lawful, which is a change, before it read unlawful, for the holder of the license to sell intoxicating liquors and beverages containing alcohol, wines and beers at retail for consumption on the premises on Mondays through Saturdays between the hours of prior was 7 a.m., now it's 9 a.m., and prior to a.m., now it's 12 a.m. The following day is an addition, and on Sundays from 12 noon, which is stricken, now it's 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. before it's 2 a.m. The following day in Zone 4, and on Mondays through Saturdays between the hours of 7 a.m. and 2 a.m. the following day, and on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. the following day in Zone 5.
Okay, thank you. I'll open it up to I'm gonna open up to the public comments first. I'm gonna close the council meeting and open it up. Any public comments on this ordinance? It is a second reading, which means it already passed first reading as is. Brett, David, Dr. Ward, et al. Ms. Brooks. If you have any questions, this is, please come up. I am going to bring up a recommendation that one of our residents emailed all of us. I will bring that up. Yes, state your name after the record.
David Ward, 488 Northeast 90th Street. I'm having a little bit of difficulty hearing some of the speakers. So to clarify, the change in the hours, previously it was alcohol sales until midnight, and now it's being, no, is that incorrect?
Previously it was 7 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay. So previously it was 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., and then the new resolution, or new ordinance is reading
9 a.m.
9 a.m. So no change in the night hour, just a change in the morning hours.
No, there's a change in both.
There's a change in both. And then...
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm also,
No, it's okay.
the change in the closing hours when they stopped selling alcohol, it was what, and now is what?
Before, it was Monday through Saturday between the hours of 7 a.m. and 2 a.m. And we've changed it now from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Midnight.
So you shorten the hours. Okay, thank you. Good.
Want to work here again on behalf of Mr. Garland. It is being shortened from that 2 o'clock in the morning back to 12 o'clock. Everybody got that?
Midnight,
That's
yes.
it, but midnight, okay, because that's what I wasn't understanding. That was the protest before. They close it down when people trying to sleep. It's a little bit village. Thank you.
And the other change is Sunday. Sunday used to be from noon to 2 a.m. It's been changed to 10 a.m. to midnight. Okay, in Zone 4, which is Northeast 2nd Avenue. And the other change that we should point out is Mondays through Saturdays between the hours of 7 a.m. I want to say the same, 7 a.m. and 2 a.m. Say the same, right? Okay. The council. Any other questions from the public with regards to the hours? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close public comments. I believe the council, we all received an email from Courtney, who him and his wife, I believe, are out of town and they're unable to be here. They are uncomfortable. They live on 87th Street, just about, they abut pretty much the sanctuary. And they are not comfortable with the alcohol sales ending at midnight from Sunday through Thursday. They would like the council to consider modification instead of midnight to 10 p.m. Is there a motion and entertainment to potentially amend the current ordinance to reflect that? And my question to the attorney would be, is that if we did that, can that be done in the second reading? Would that be okay? Okay.
It doesn't change the overall substance of the ordinance.
Any comments from the council?
I'll motion.
You'll motion to change it to Sunday through Thursday, 10 p.m. Okay, there is a motion to propose Courtney and Lee's recommendation of changing the hours from midnight to 10 p.m. Is there a second on that? Second by Vice Mayor Nickerson. Okay, so it would read the same that the attorney read, and now the attorney can reread it with the amendment of from Sunday through Thursday, amended to where the alcohol sales would end at 10 p.m. Okay, before I'm going to close the council meeting. Any comments on that from the residents? If you have a question, you can come up.
You want to do Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Sundays from 10 a.m. That would be the only.
Opening is the same, the closing is 10.
10 p.m. But
Yeah, I apologize. I just meant the only difference is the closing.
right, because you changed it from Sunday to Thursday.
From Sunday to Thursday, they would propose it to the sales. They didn't mention anything about when it would start. They just meant it to cut it off at 10 instead of midnight.
Right, because it's not Mondays through Saturdays. So you'd be then changing the days.
Well,
Because the way it reads now, it says Mondays through Saturday between the hours of 9 a.m. to 12 a.m.
yeah, the only day that they are proposing for it to be until 2 or 12 is Fridays and Saturdays, yes. So what we would need is, if this is something that does pass, we would need to read it in the record, what it would actually state, and then we would need to get that from you back to us for signature. So we would need to read it on the record to reflect the recommendation, so there's a motion on it.
Right, so as you stated, the recommendation is Sundays through Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
No, the only thing that they have asked is for the alcohol to end at 10 p.m. They have said nothing about when it starts.
Okay, so then we would change all of this from 12 a.m. to 10 p.m. So I could just read with the closing.
With the exception of Fridays and Saturdays.
Fridays and Saturdays, why can't we change it?
Right, let's leave it. So Fridays and Saturdays, you'd still have it closing
Till midnight.
Yes.
Yep.
And this is just Zone 4 they recommended, not Zone 5. You can still make a comment, you're still open up for the public.
Right down the 415 Terrace. Initially, between,
What'd you say?
from the beginning, I get the term Bill talked about. From the beginning, it was, from the very beginning, I thought it was from 7 or 8 to 2, right? Or was it somewhere around there? Help me out here.
It's from 7 to
So,
7 a.m. to 2, you're correct.
So how many hours is that? From 8 to 2 is 7 hours. That the operation, it would be operated. What is it? Like, I remember that. Was it 9 hours?
You want to know how long is it from 7 to 2 a.m.?
Yeah, and it operated from that point initially. How many
Since
hours?
when has it been operating?
19 hours.
19 hours, yeah.
19 hours, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna cut it back down to 9 to 10 from Sunday to Thursdays? Is this what we're saying now?
From Sundays to Thursdays, they would like us, instead of the alcohol sales to end at midnight, to consider 10 p.m. from Sunday to Thursday.
Okay, that's the ending, once again. Where's the beginning?
Same thing, it would still be 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And then on Sunday would be 10 o'clock. They didn't bring anything up as far as the opening.
Okay, because I'm looking at, if this is an establishment, and they're running so many hours a day, aren't they losing some hours there in between?
Can you repeat the, I didn't hear you, can what?
If this is an establishment that's supposed to be selling alcoholic beverages, and they're running X amount of hours per day, aren't they gonna lose about 4 or 5 hours here, in between here?
If they stop the alcohol sales at 10 as opposed to midnight, yeah, they're gonna lose 2 hours a night, absolutely.
Okay.
Based
And
on
they're gonna lose like 10 to 14 hours a week, basically.
that's 5 times 2, it's 10.
Because I think that's where you're gonna have the problem at, because this is an establishment, and then it's,
Although it does not affect food sales, so they can still sell food till any hour.
yeah, but we're not talking about food, we're talking about alcohol beverages. So we strictly talk about the alcohol beverages. And I'm looking at it from a business perspective. They're gonna lose some time here. So I don't know how you're gonna do this and then still satisfy that time frame that they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose 10 to 12 hours a week.
Thank you. Norman, did you want to say something? I hear you.
No, let me just clarify.
Okay. So there is a motion to change the language, potentially change the language. There's a motion and there's a second. I'm going to ask for a roll call in a minute. Norman, if you want to reread what it would actually read, so it's on the record.
If it's going to be as being proposed.
As it's being potentially amended and proposed, yes.
As I understand it, it shall be lawful for the holder of a license to sell intoxicating liquors and beverages containing alcohol, wines and beers at retail for consumption on the premises on Sundays through Thursdays between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. The following day, and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. The following day, Zone 4, and on Mondays through Saturdays between hours of 7 a.m. and 12 a.m. The following day on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and all day in Zone 5.
No, Friday and Saturday was till 2.
What about Friday?
On Zone 4.
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday for all?
Zone 4 is.
Friday and Saturday until midnight. 10 a.m. to midnight. Do you have a question?
No, so there is a motion to amend the first paragraph of 3.1 so that it reflects that Sunday through Thursday, the only thing that changes is the closing time from 12 to 10 p.m. There's a motion with the first and the second. Any discussion before I ask for roll call for that change? Madam Clerk.
Roll call. Councilperson Dreyer.
No.
Councilperson Roman.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis.
No.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Mayor Cubillos.
No.
Motion failed. 3-2.
Is there a motion to adopt the paragraph as is that was initially read by the attorney, which would indicate that it is lawful for an establishment to sell alcohol in Zone 4 Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to midnight, and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to midnight? Motion's been made by Councilperson Mathis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Dreyer. Any discussion from the council? Any need for me to close for public comments?
Just a quick note here. When we had the first session, we had both the resident and the business, and we decided to move forward with this hours. So we do understand, we did receive the email, but if we're going to be modifying those hours again, it will be to the courtesy as well to the business who are, they're, moving forward with their licensees to perhaps have this discussion. But both the resident who's sending out the proposal in the email, as well with the business owner, we're here and we all discussed this. So to that respect, I keep those hours.
Which is why I had asked if there needed to be an additional reading, because this alcohol ordinance is really being done along the lines of an establishment potentially being
As long as the
considered.
ordinance is properly noticed with the affected parties giving proper notice, we move forward.
Okay. Any public comments? Okay, hearing none. Any comments from the council? Madam Clerk, can I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Dreyer.
Yes.
Councilperson Roman.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Mayor Cubillos.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Look at that, Camila. You can tell why we're doing all this without him. He'd be so proud of us. Okay. If you can please read the next resolution to the record, Norman.
Ordinance 2018-06, an ordinance of the Village of El Portal, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 24, Appendix B, Form-Based Code, Article 3, Uses, Table 1, Specific Function, and Use, Section 24-8.8, Definitions of Building Functions, Uses, and Article 6, Specific to Zones, Section 24-B.17, Zone 5, Z5 Urban Center, and Article 10, Definitions of Terms, in order to provide the conditions and requirements for the use of medical marijuana dispensaries and medical marijuana treatment centers, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflicts, repealers, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Before I accept there's a motion on this, can you just, in lay terms, let the residents and the council know exactly what that means as it relates to where would it be allowed in the Village of El Portal?
According to the map...
Excuse me, before we move forward, can you speak a little bit louder?
Yes, according to the map that's attached to the staff
Can you
recommendation.
speak up, please?
According to the map that's attached to the staff recommendation, the restrictions are within so many feet of places of worship and schools. So if you look at exactly where it is, it's in the appendix. I don't have the street address. Maybe Camila can tell us what that street address is, but it's limited to...
I just gave him a copy of what the map, and if Camila, if you can just, I think you have the map, you can just tell us exactly what the perimeters are and where the restrictions would be for the...
If anybody else needs that, who else would like to know?
Another street number.
So
Talk loud, please.
yes, the map on the you're referring to on the staff report, it is showing the radius of 1,000 feet from any other, from churches, schools, and village hall, which would basically render all those locations within that radius not allowed, not permitted to establish a medical marijuana dispensary within 1,000 feet of all of those locations. Unless that were to change in the future, then that would be
So with a preschool and a middle school and a high school in our radius, so would there be an area where that they would be allowed? Essentially, no. Right. That's sort of, okay. Let me go ahead and close the council. Any other comments before I ask for a motion? If you do, please bring up to the record. I don't know if I want to know what you want to say.
That was Dr. Anna Ward. That was brilliant. Is there anywhere they're going to be able to put marijuana dispensers? No. That's beautiful. That was on time. I don't have a problem. I just want to make sure that we're keeping it in line that this is what it is. And at the last council meeting, I was sitting with a group of people and they said, bring the marijuana. Come on, give me a dispenser. Thank you.
You are welcome. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. Council, there is, for the clerk, this is a first reading, correct? Yes, this is correct. I'm going to make sure this is the first reading. For clarity for the audience. There is a ordinance. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance 2018-29, I believe? Yes, 2018-06. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2018-06 for first reading? Motion's been made by Councilperson Mathis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Nickerson. That was a slow motion. Okay, any discussion? Any discussion, Council? Okay, hearing none, Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call? This is a first reading.
Roll call. Councilperson Dreyer.
Yes.
Councilperson Roman.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis.
No.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
No.
Mayor Cubillos.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, this is a first reading. Oh, you're killing me. Okay. Are those all the resolutions and ordinances? Look at that. Okay. All right, thank you. We have, we're going now into the mayor and manager's reports. Since we have the managers right literally in front of us, Christina, do you want to go first? And I'll go right after you. I gotta pull my notes.
I will be brief. As many motorists here in the village know, we had a pothole situation just outside of the village hall, right in front of Councilperson Dreyer's home for the past month. It has been the bane of my existence, but we got it fixed yesterday, thank goodness. And what's crazy, it only took about 2 hours to do. I thought it'd be all day, but it took us a very short time for a professional. The hesitance, I guess, or the concern or issue with getting contractors out was they thought the job was too small. To us, it's a big deal, but to contractors who want to do resurfacing, we say, okay, well, give us a quote for the resurfacing, but get this pothole done. So we got the pothole done. We'll entertain the resurfacing another time. So that is finally done, thank goodness. And thank you for your assistance, Councilperson Dreyer, trying to make calls, trying to help us with that. Our welcome to El Portal wall sign was hit last Monday again. So just as we were completing the repair of it, someone else in the village has hit the sign, so it's back down, but we are going to continue to work on getting that sign back up on North Miami Avenue, the welcome to El Portal wall. But I don't know what happened. It's the craziest thing, but we will continue to work with our contractor on getting it back up again. For our Hurricane Irma recovery, just to keep everyone updated, because that never goes away until we get our reimbursement, we continue to keep tabs on that. And presently our FEMA consultant, DP&O, is continuing to be swift and responsive to FEMA's request for information and clarification. We were just assigned our third FEMA contact in this past 12 months that we've been working since the storm. And they've been responsive, so we continue to await reimbursements, and hopefully that will be forthcoming. I will keep you all posted as that comes available, that information becomes available. On a lighter note, our new summer smart uniforms for our police officers have been debuted last week, new blue polo shirts that are a lot more breathable, and we've been getting lots of compliments to that. And we're adding shorts to the uniform per a PBA contract negotiation from earlier this spring. So we are moving along with that, and you'll see some brighter faces and cooler police officers in their new addition to their uniform suites. Skip over that. We continue to address our code enforcement issues. We've been working with Vice Mayor Nickerson and trying to come up with some creative ways to be more effective in terms of our repeat offenders. You know, things look a certain way, but we have people who offend every month, so that is the reason why a lot of these properties look unkempt continually, is that they will get citations and that gives them 5 days to cure, and they cure before it's time to pay the fine. But then they wait another month until they get cited again before they cut the grass again or clean the lot. So it's been a bit of an issue, but we continue to try to find creative ways to remedy that problem. But we're still out there writing citations and trying to make that work. We do have some other activities happening in the village in terms of permitting. We now have a special events application. We've always had it, but we are now enforcing it, and we've updated it, and villagers who are having special events and activities at their home, when it comes to road closures or needing police assistance for the traffic, we do have a special events application now that needs to be completed and submitted to the village hall. And in some instances, there will be a bond requirement because we have had some property damage and what have you from large events. And we just need to ensure that that doesn't happen on our streets and on our swells and right-of-ways. And I continue to work with our CFO in addressing all of the trim and budget matters we've submitted on time. This year, we're all clear with that. Our final budget book will be issued probably next week. Our CFO wasn't into the office today, but he will be here Thursday. So I'm assuming that we're in final, and that will be available for our residents and anyone else who wants to look at the fiscal year 2018-19 budget. And we continue to address internal policies and procedures with our own employee handbook, our police policy and procedures, standard operating procedures, as well as emergency preparedness. We are continuing with that. We're almost at the end of that, so we'll roll that out very soon and have that presented to the Admin and Finance Committee when they reconvene in January. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council? Just a couple, let's see what you covered. Okay. I mentioned, I believe, back in May in my report that the attorney, myself, and the manager met with the owners of the Little Farm, and we met with the representative to give us really preliminary idea of what they may propose at some point to the community and to the council. Also at that meeting, Juan, who was present from Placerbia, had spoken and talked about, because prior to that, the manager, myself, and Juan had met with Mayor Suarez from the city of Miami, and we talked about the Bright Line, we talked about the rail, and we talked about a consideration of having a station here. If there was a developer that would want to partner potentially with potentially building a station. At the time, the representative for the Little Farm had said that no, they wouldn't be interested. It's not the direction that they would want to potentially go. Juan and I did receive, I don't think the manager was a copy of the email, but we did receive an email 2 days ago. You were? We did receive an email 2 days ago, and he has asked that the owners want to revisit that idea. They want to revisit the idea of considering that and what the next step would be. So we are going to contact the Miami TPO, which is the Transportation Port Authority, and set a meeting and just have a real preliminary dialogue as far as what that would even look like, what the responsibilities would be from the developer, from the TPO, and I'm sure the manager or myself will keep everybody abreast of that. That's the update on the Little Farm. Simultaneously, and at the same time, I received an email from the annexed area, which is right behind Don Bailey's. It's an area that we have seen a real preliminary design of what they want to do, but the email indicated that they wanted to get some updates on our code and have a meeting. So I put them in contact with Juan. So it looks like they will probably be coming to see us, at least to the Planning and Zoning Committee, to present something to us, hopefully in spring of 2019. The last time I saw anything that they had, David Roseman was here, so it's been a while. Then they put it on hold because they had another project that they were working on, so it looks like the wheels are moving, so that is, that's really definitely positive for us. Yes, Barron's Brothers, yeah. Kristen McLean, who spearheads the Little River Conservancy, she and we met about a week and a half ago to discuss a little more about what we're going to do moving forward the Little River Compact. We wanted to have a meeting actually tomorrow, but clearly that didn't come to fruition, to have a next powwow with not only the stakeholders of El Portal, but invite other municipalities, bring Durham back, and the mayor from Hawthorne, who's already done a compact initiative. However, Kristen's been traveling extensively, so she told me when I saw her last Thursday that we will push it off and we'll be promoting it in November, December, and it's going to be a kickoff meeting in January about the Little River Compact. As I mentioned earlier, this is Florida Government Week, and with today's resolution, I'm hoping that as we move forward, the village council, whoever they may be, will always recognize this week and keep in mind as next year when I introduce a Citizen Academy, something that can continue staying with the village and have a Citizen of the Year that the council selects, have the requirements on there as well for that. And so now we know it's the third week in October. I want to thank Vice Mayor Nickerson for attending. The Miami-Dade League of Cities had the best practices, and they had a total of 12 sessions, and I must have heard over, I don't know if you were going to talk about it in your report, I heard over and over that our session from El Portal was hands down the best. We did a session on how elected officials should respond to an active shooting and how to respond to our constituents. The panel consisted of an FBI agent, the mayor of Parkland. This was derived, this session came together after the Parkland shooting. So the mayor of Parkland was there, and we also had a psychologist from the Miami-Dade County Public School who has worked with the public school for 20-something years, and he's had to deal with 6 active shootings. And while the trauma of active shooting is most impactful the day of, what's really long-term is the trauma that students, parents, and kids feel. So we covered all of that. So we got a tremendous review. So I was really happy. Unfortunately, I know Councilor Roman got ill, and our manager got ill, and I know they were scheduled to attend. So we were looking forward to having you. But El Portal did incredibly well. I was really proud. The recent newsletter has been out, and like I said at the last council meeting, this newsletter was going to be a little different. It was all focused on just information and how to be better informed and stay better informed. That has been distributed. There's about 4 or 5 residents in our town that are young, and they really want to get more involved. So they're the ones that distributed, along with, I believe, Councilperson Roman. Did a couple of blogs, and I know that Councilperson Matheson, Vice Mayor, reached out, but the kids did it, so they got the community service hours, and they're very excited. So I want to thank them because they're pretty amazing. The El Portal Women's Club, I want to thank them. They are working to raise awareness to pancreatic cancer, which is in November. It's how I lost my mom in 2002, and they are selling purple bulbs to turn El Portal purple in the month of November. I encourage you, if you can, they're $5 a bulb. Go to albertowomensclub.org/donate. You can buy a bulb for your home and lighted purple starting November 1st. In spirit of that, when they told me that they were doing that, I went ahead and I'm putting a community walk together. It's a free walk. Just come out November 4th. There is a flyer. The clerk will be sending out an email blast, and the flyer should be up in all the marquees. Just a 2-mile community walk. We are meeting in front of Horsemen at 8 o'clock on Sunday, November 4th. If you can join us, that would be great. We're purple, and let's go have a small walk for 2 miles. The walk is going to stay around the west side. We're not going to traverse at all to the east side. We're going to stay and do the entire west side of Horsemen. Our swearing in, we all have been re-elected. Our swearing in is going to be Thursday, November 8th at 7 o'clock. I hope you all will come see us be sworn in again and have the honor to serve all of you for the next 2 years. I have the honor, actually I got invited, and I'm going to the governor's debate tomorrow, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's at the Broward Community College. The Florida League of Cities gave it to 6 mayors, and I'm one of them, so I was like, yay, so I'm going to be there tomorrow. So if you have any questions, please give them to me, because we're sitting right up front, so I'm really excited about that. There's a turkey drive. We have an annual turkey drive. I am going to be out of town for 9 days. I don't think I've ever been out of town for 9 days since I've been elected. It's the same time that the turkey drive is. While I attended the Women's Club meeting, this came up because to pick up the turkeys is during working hours, and I know Councilperson Drea works, I know Councilperson Mathis works, and Vice Mayor Nickerson, I have not mentioned, but Vice Mayor Nickerson might be available. Councilperson Roman mentioned to me she's out of town also for a few days, so she won't be here. So the turkey drive is November 15th. They have offered the Women's Club to work with whoever on the council is going to work with them. I have the senior list where we would deliver to, and then I asked Horsemen to give us families as well. Generally, the town gets 40, but being on the board, we're going to get 50, so just make sure you get your 50 burgers, okay? And I'll make sure that I give the clerk all the information before I leave. The last thing I forgot to mention is, we hear often residents talk about, the vocabulary that we use, because sometimes we go crazy with TPOs or MOUs, and what does ad valorem really mean? So I was given a list of the top 50 local government vocabulary words. I'm actually going to email it to you. You're going to email it out to the residents on behalf of, since we couldn't do a Citizens Academy this year, I'm going to email the top 50 local government vocabulary words. So bring it with you. When you come to the meeting, it talks about from ad valorem to what a strong mayor is to what an attorney does. It's quite interesting, actually. So it has some acronyms in there, so I thought that was pretty neat. I think that concludes my report. We're going to go right into public affairs. What's you? Oh yeah, public affairs. That was you.
Public affairs. We are not having the Halloween block party this year. Stated they wanted to have traditional Halloween. Usually the horn is longer, but we've asked that anyone who wants to give out candy or anyone that wants to take their kids trick-or-treating, they use the Nextdoor map. There's a treat map, and you can indicate if you are going to have a haunted house. You can indicate that you have candy, what type of candies you're going to have, and we ask that it's really cool. We ask that you use that to indicate if you're going to participate and give out candy or take your kids trick-or-treating. And then we were discussing the Thanksgiving luncheon. We're looking at November 15th. I'll get with your niece and iron all that out and get it on the website. And that concludes my report.
I believe November 15th is also the pickup of the turkeys. I'm pretty sure. I'll let you know.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, you just said that.
That
date out.
Okay, next we have Chairperson Councilperson Dreyer from Public Works.
So just want to give you a quick update, and I'm also going to make a request. With conversation with Christia, we definitely need to bring up a special Public Works Committee meeting or council meeting in respect to talk about a couple of things that are happening with, one, the septic to sewer project. We need to move on finalizing the decision with the analysis Robert and Casper, moving forward with the change in scope and funding for the Pinani team. As well, we are also, from what I understand, we are about to receive some stormwater grant money as well, that we need to make that decision, and that will be the second item. So I just want to make sure, and also with El Jardín, I know that's another important project that we're working, and as well with the easement for the school. So I just would like to ask availability from the committee members. I know we have, today's the 23rd, and just wanted to make sure what's your schedule, guys, as far as this up. Proposal next Tuesday, the 30th, 7 o'clock. Would that work with the committee to review those agendas? Yes. And if other council members are interested, we can just bring up a council meeting, Public Works Committee. I'm sorry, council meeting with focus on Public Works.
I would, if you, sorry.
The 30th, about 29th, or? No. When are you guys available?
Any day after that.
Any day after that? Would first? The machines are dropped off.
November is really, am I in the committee? Yes, right. I apologize. Making sure. November is really rough for me. I'm out of town, as I said, quite often. I'm out of town the 8th, 9th, and the 10th. And then I'm out of town the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. And then I'm out of town from the 18th to the 25th.
Can you do it on 30th?
Yes, I can do it on the 30th. I'll change.
Super.
I can do it on the 30th.
So 7 o'clock, would any of the rest of the committee, I'm sorry, council folks would be interested in joining?
Yeah, so I think that, I think the Councilperson Director. So the question is for myself and Councilperson Roman. I think because we're not on the committee, is what they have to go through or what you need to be passed for them. Is it something that the whole council is going to need to pass eventually?
It's time sensitive. We're trying to hit that November, what is it, Steve? I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you, the November 11th timeframe for that grant so we need the full council.
So you need a special council meeting for the full council to pass it that night, or not pass it, whatever it is.
Correct.
Discuss that night.
Just review the things.
Yeah, I mean November 30th.
Awesome. Councilwoman Bimari?
October.
Yes, Councilwoman Bimari?
I can't be there.
So can we just?
Still have it.
We can still have it?
Are you available, the attorney?
Yeah,
October 30th?
Okay.
Super. So I appreciate it. Okay. A week from now, 7 o'clock. Okay. Would that work for you? Super. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for helping move this effort to the next step. So. Christian did mention, I just want to thank you, Christian, for fixing that pothole. I know we called a few vendors out there, and like you said, it's a small job, and they're not making themselves available, but I do appreciate it. So pretty much that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions? You know what I want to add? I just want to add that the memo that was sent to Principal Lawrence was very good. I know that you're working on, I don't think he's got back to you. You said you were going to call him back, but I think that was well done from all of us. I think everybody gave input on that. So that was really good. Okay, the next one is Code Enforcement and Chairperson Omar Nickerson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you, everybody out there watching us. First, I want to say congratulations to everybody up here for being reelected. You know, I learned so much from all of you up here in different ways, so I really appreciate it. And it's going to be a pleasure being up here with you guys for a little bit longer. As far as code enforcement goes, I want to give a huge shout out to our manager, Ms. Alou. Since code enforcement and dealing with Mr. Garcia, as a code enforcement officer, that knowing that he works, you know, at the front desk a portion of the time, she works really closely with him, and she really is able to be a great leader for him and kind of steer him in the right direction at times. You know, I drop by the office. I try to drop by a couple of times per week. You know, not once per week, every week, and meet with everybody who's here, and have those meetings with the chief, with the manager, with the clerk, and, you know, and everybody. I just walk, you know, talk to everybody. I walk through the office. And so, I just want to say thank you for that. There's a couple of things that we're working on that I kind of want to get the full council's kind of like opinion on, maybe, or just something to bring to you guys' attention for you guys to think about. The first thing that we've been doing, and the manager's been working very closely and trying her hardest to take care of, and I reached out to the individuals also, is that, so there's a home that is being sold, and somebody wants to buy 60 Northwest 91st Street. This home is a home that continuously over the years has had code violations, and it's racked up to $85,000 in code violations. The individuals that want to buy the home, the manager reached out to me. The individuals that want to buy the home, they of course want to try to buy it, and they were asking me to do anything about the price of the liens. I told her a couple of things. I told her to, you know, to continue to reach out to them, which she did in a wonderful fashion. I reached out to them, but I also wanted to come to you guys because I didn't want to. You know, this is what I told the manager. I said, you know, I kind of want to tell council about this. I said, because even though, you know, they're asking us to reduce it, I said, I don't want anything, you guys know I'm transparent with everything. Like, I don't want anything to happen to where, you know, like we start to agree on the price, and then a year from now, you know, it comes out, you know, what the price was or something like that, and you guys are looking at me being like, well, dang, Omar, like, why did you go so low? Or, you know what I mean? Or, Omar, why didn't you hold out for more? I'm just saying, like, just to be, I'm being perfectly honest. So I wanted to open it up for you guys, because, you know, there's that dilemma always when we come to things like this of these individuals have been violated, you know, have had code violations for so long, they've racked up $85,000, but at the same time, if nobody's able to afford to pay that amount, well then this home will never be sold and will always be looking the way it looks, right? Which is bad for the village as a whole. So you have that dilemma of, you know, we can't just let things just go away, because if that's the case, if we just bring it down to absolutely nothing, well then everybody's going to look around like, well then what's the purpose of even like paying attention, because we just rack up code violations and never pay for it, and that's it. You see what I mean? So that's the dilemma that I want to bring to all of you guys up here.
When I did code enforcement, Jason and I had this issue. There's a formula that you can use. There's a formula that is used, whereas the village, the end dollar amount ensures that the village recoups the cost that it actually put into writing the citation, sending someone out. You know, the fines are higher because we have a dollar amount on it. But that's really the manager's discretion to go with that. And, you know, she can, I hope Jason left the formula. If not, I think I might have it in some files at home. And she can do the numbers and come up with a settlement number that makes us whole.
For sure.
To a point.
And the manager will also tell you that another reason why I said I wanted to bring it up was not just for me, but I told her for herself also. I said, because I don't want her to be up here, 6 months from now, and then it comes out how much it was, and they're like, well, why didn't the manager give up to that? Or, you know what I mean? So I wanted to be open for everybody, so that we all can understand what's going on, so that later on, nobody can come back and say, well, I didn't know about this, or why weren't we told about this, so I wanted to bring that up.
I'll look for the formula.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
When the manager brought this up, my only recommendation, I took it from the experience that I've been on here, it's always an administrative decision. I think the most important thing is however it's handled, if we're just consistent across the board with that, if we are going to give a discounted rate or whatever we're going to call it, then that's what we do across the board, that if that doesn't go like this, that's when, it's just not good. That's not good practice.
Madam Mayor, is this something the League of Cities is going to help us as well out? Like, what's the common best practices? I'm sure since there's other sisters, municipalities, we can ask as well.
We can definitely ask.
Contact,
But do understand this, one thing about the representative who wants to, assist with the sale of the property, they would prefer to pay nothing.
Right.
So
that's not going to happen.
And I think for purposes, how much is it?
It's $86,000. I mean, I did take the weekend and the holidays off, so it's at $75,000. That's as far down as I am comfortable going, but I will certainly consider other jurisdictions. I will reach out to the League of Cities to see what else.
Do we have a contact there, Madam Mayor?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can do it for you.
Okay.
It makes it a lot easier.
That might be good time on this. Because I'm sure it's not just us. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Another thing that has come up recently, well, also really quickly, you guys all know that we've had a resident who's very involved, who's been talking a lot about code enforcement. He did a ride-along with the code enforcement officer recently. Like he's been out of town. Me and him I wanted to go meet with him face to face, but he was busy. He was out of town, so I wasn't able to do that. Me and him usually have a really good, and not to say we don't now, we always have a really good speaking relationship, so I'm looking forward to speaking with him. Being that's the case, since this ride-along recently happened, I haven't been able to be briefed by the manager as far as what came out of that ride-along. I'm looking forward to meeting with her with that. Another thing, the manager said earlier, she was like, we keep talking and trying to find, better ways of dealing with code enforcement and repeat code enforcement violators. It's been brought to our attention that there's a small rumble going on, that there's some individuals that are starting to say, well, we're tired of the repeat offenders of those who offend or keep making code enforcement violations. So they're asking, or they're saying, why don't we try something new, because we've been trying the same thing forever, and it hasn't been working. So why don't we try to maybe do kind of like, I guess, the opposite of Councilperson Roman's great home of the month initiative, which is the opposite, which is to
blast the bad,
which is to let everybody like kind of
know that they're
like
violators.
Know that they're violators or things like that, and then when they clean up their properties, to also praise them once that's done. I've never been the type that's been behind, kind of doing that. People are just, I guess, getting fed up. They love our village. They love that, under Mayor Cabillos, we've raised the property value a lot to where it used to be, and they're upset that they're taking care of their homes and other people aren't, and it's over and over and over, and what are we going to do? We have to do something different. So they said that, so I just want to bring that up, that's being talked about out there in the village. To end, please do it. To end and to close very quickly, I just wanted to say that I want to say a couple of things really quick. Myself and the mayor apart from the best practices, which we're going to touch on in a second, we also attended the mayor put together a great event where we had kind of a low turnout, but it was for home preparation, hurricane preparation. And we had a pretty low turnout, so we're gonna have to reschedule it, or the mayor's gonna have to reschedule it. But it was wonderful, and I was able to meet with the organizers. I went to another one of their events. Ms. Brooks came out to the one here at El Portal. Ms. Brooks went to the one that was at the park. But that afternoon, I ended up going with them and helping them set up one that was at Mount Sinai, and I helped them attend that. So I've been talking to them really, really closely to just try to get more elderly type of service benefits, as far as, because they're really big on like things that are coming down the pipeline from Tallahassee, where like that help the elderly, but that they find out about it first. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to keep in touch with them so that when, and keep that close relationship with them so that when that comes down, I can tell our villagers about it first so they can go and apply for these type of little things that come down the pipe. So I'm doing that. And this is where I'm really closing. Sorry about that, everybody. This is where I'm really closing. And that is, I understand, Dr. Gordon, you have to understand that there's a lot of people that watch us on TV that appreciate this. We get that feedback also, so they appreciate how you guys are doing. Thanks for staying with us. And so the last thing in closing that I want to say about everything is that at the best practices, you guys, it was a wonderful event. The mayor touched on it, and a couple of things that came out of that panel, which was a great panel. It was, and like she said, it was lessons learned from Stoneman Douglas, lessons learned from Parkland. And so I just wanted to reach out to you guys as the entire council and just put some things in your mind so that, you know, if you're the chair of the committee or just, you know, as a council as a whole, these are things that you might want to take up the initiative to you know, champion or just keep in mind. And that's one thing I always, I wonder if the El Portal Police maybe need to every once in a while, these are notes that I was taking from that panel, if the El Portal Police maybe every once in a while need to run like mock emergencies. I was thinking maybe like 2 to 3 times per year, maybe a couple times per year, maybe on a Wednesday because most officers are there, just run a mock emergency, you know. Maybe the chief would know about it, but maybe the other officers won't know about it. They might think it might be a real emergency and see just like how they react, the timing and things like that. That might be something you might want to do. Continue to foster the relationship between Horace Mann and the El Portal Police Department. There, a lot of things were brought up about how the mayor Parkland kept bringing up about how a lot of the different organizations didn't really speak until like that day. So continue to foster that relationship between Horace Mann and the El Portal Police Department. Are the El Portal Police trained up to date when it comes to emergencies and such as school shootings? There was the individual who was the ranger, I think he was named
from the panel or the audience?
From the panel.
Yeah, he was a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, a Navy SEAL. He was a Navy SEAL. He was talking about how the training. He was saying a lot of times, like he would find that the training of sometimes police officers, like they were behind like years. And so it wasn't up to date. So you were saying make sure your officers' training is up to date, like they're up to date, like the newest standard procedures. Yes, the procedures, exactly. Maybe every once in a while, you guys, we need to have one of us or somebody, a representative, go to attend a school board meeting. They were bringing up school board meetings and how we need to, you know, make sure the school board maybe does. Helps us with maybe these things called penetration testing at the school in your neighborhood. And penetration testing, I don't know if the mayor remembers that. Penetration testing, I think the Navy SEAL brought this up also. Penetration testing was when the school itself has a mock emergency about if it's penetrated easily. And you have to be kind of like in coordination with the school board for that to happen. And what it is that the reason why you have to be in communication with the school board is because they don't tell the school about it, the principal or anybody. And so what they'll do is they'll send somebody out to the school to see if like they can get into the school.
Like a secret shopper.
Yeah, like a secret shopper type of thing. To see if the school officers, the school security, and they're all doing what they're supposed to do. So that might be something that we might want to bring up. And I know that the mayor, she might want to, I think that she was going to champion this anyway, and that was, because she spoke about it herself at her panel, and that was a full El Portal communications thing that she wants to.
We started that today at our meeting with the manager.
Look at that, there we go.
Yes.
So those are just some of the things that I wanted to bring up when we came out of the meeting. The last little thing I got from that was that, it's just like a side note, and that's that, remember you guys recently, the reason why we have, after the, the horrific incident up there in Parkland, the state, Tallahassee, they legislated that we now have to, give extra police officers and security to the schools. My only question, this did not come up in the panel, this was just something I was thinking about as I was hearing everything at the panel. My only question to that was that cost, because they passed legislation that it has to happen, and then they pass the cost as far as like the amount you get to help do that is related to like the size of your ability, and like it kind of went down the pipe like that. So my only question, and something that we might just want to keep an eye on, is that legislation that they passed being properly funded by them to us now? So because a lot of times people, because of the emotion, they pass things, but then like as time goes on, they don't fund it anymore, and then things start to slip away, and then something else happens, and then it's like, why did it happen? Well, that's because the funding froze up. So you need to stay on the funding end of that also. So when we take those to Tallahassee, days and things like that, this is something that we also want to bring up while we're in Tallahassee. And sorry about that, you guys, but I thought this was all very important information. That's in my report.
No, thank you. You're a good note taker. We have Councilperson Roman, Chair of Admin and Finance, is next.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. There were two items that I expected to see on the agenda for tonight that did not make the agenda, so I just want to bring them up and remind everyone, which is the village manager's 6-month evaluation, which was due on 10/12/18. And as per my follow-up, I don't believe anyone sent it in to the clerk. And the second one is the council procedure resolution, which the attorney and I worked on. I didn't see that on the agenda as well. And that's complete, so you guys can go over it, and we can go over it whenever you guys would like to. The third thing is the Admin and Finance Committee was supposed to get the job descriptions for the clerk position to the chair by 9/28. I did not receive those either. So if you guys can kindly follow up with these items. That concludes my report.
I didn't get the evaluation.
It was emailed to everybody.
You emailed?
I forwarded what she emailed it, I think, I forwarded, Lonnie emailed it, or Councilperson Roman emailed it to all of you.
And then I forwarded it.
She's not, did you get it?
Okay, so what we need to do is if we can get those three things, if somebody hasn't received it, if the clerk would please get it to them. My review is done. It's handwritten. I went over it with the manager already. I apologize. I've not typed it. I haven't sent it. I will. I sent an email to, I believe, all of you. With the clerk, I went through all of them. I just need a Word doc, and I'll redline what I would just put in there. If I can get the Word doc, that's what I do. Because if I would just scan all the pages, it's gonna not really. So I would just copy and paste what I would recommend, and then redline, and then we can discuss it at a committee. So I can get the Word doc for the clerk's job description. And then I should have my managers all typed out by Friday. I did go through with it. Did we do it last Friday?
Can I say something?
I apologize, I'm late though.
I want to say something. I want to be clear about this. We are not supposed to be emailing each other. Don't send. You just don't do it. it just doesn't look good because you never know what is going to come up for a vote.
There was nothing that was going to be coming up for a vote. So
Well,
there's nothing
if it's the manager's evaluation, it's something that's very important.
It's
You
just
shouldn't
a
be
blank
email.
document.
You shouldn't be emailing us. We shouldn't be emailing each other at all. That's what the
Then
clerk
we
is
need
for.
to ensure that information is going out on a timely manner.
I actually attended a seminar on this.
Can you advise her again?
I think I've sent a couple emails on this. Anything that is foreseeable to appear on an agenda, councilpersons should not communicate with each other about it. So the best practice is just running through the clerk's office.
So this was supposed to be an agenda tonight. So we were requested to fill this out, to put it into today's agenda. So for that reason, was this removed out of the agenda? Because if we would have responded, right, to that request that was submitted by one of the council members, we would have responded, we would have this information in front of you, that would have resulted into a violation of sunshine because it would have been in today's agenda. Was it that because it was removed? I just want to be clear on this.
Let me just clarify. If a council person simply disseminates, let's say, that form you're referring to for the evaluation, and there's no continued communication, you would not run afoul with 119. I think Councilman Mathis's recommendation is a very good one to avoid any potential issue. Just run everything through the clerk. That way you don't have to ever worry about whether or not you're forecasting an item coming on the agenda. I don't know what happened in today's evaluation. I got it through the clerk's office, through her email.
We received a council at this point. There was an email direct. Yeah, so I would appreciate it as well to avoid any of this circumstances. I will request as well to please just forward to, you know, however the proper procedure that you recommend, the attorney.
I
So,
think a couple of weeks ago, I sent out a memo line, a brief statement, err on the side of being conservative and just simply send everything to the clerk.
I have a question. The resolution that was supposed to be on tonight's agenda was a procedure resolution, which I thought it was supposed to be a January agenda. Is that on there about email?
No, I don't know.
I mean, could it be? Would it be just, just an effort so we all, to ensure that if this is what we're going to do, then the clerk is going to send it to everybody and then the time frame and everything, which would be on there?
We could put it on there, but it would just simply be stating that council persons have to follow the government sunshine. Yeah, which most meetings just don't communicate with each other about anything that may come on the agenda.
I'm going to try to put a handbook together so everybody can know, because the classes I took have ethic and sunshine. And then I'm going to distribute, I'm going to ask another city so I can distribute to each of you. And I would recommend that each of you read it thoroughly, because there is a lot of things that sunshine covers. And sometimes we may think differently, but we need to educate ourselves so we don't commit any kind of sunshine violation.
Okay,
That's
so
also ethics you guys have to attend.
Okay, so it seems like no one has done it. If you would resend it to the clerk and the clerk would disseminate it to all of us.
The clerk has it, she can send it over for you.
I sent it.
Both items, right? The description and that, okay.
Yeah, but the policy and the whole.
procedures, yeah. I know, Chris, last time we heard there was a May edition out there that was sent to us. But to the comment right now that there was some edits made by the attorney and village councilwoman Mimari. Are you guys planning to show a draft?
That was sent over.
Can you guys talk a little bit louder? The train's going by and it's just like messing up the
Yeah,
audio.
that was sent over about a week or so ago.
Correct, and it was supposed to be brought back to the January meeting for admin and finance.
Is that, I think it's past admin and finance. No, past admin and finance, it's gotta go to council.
Yeah.
But does the council receive that resolution?
Yeah, you should.
Do you have it? I have the resolution, do you have it?
I would have to check.
Well,
Okay.
so then we're all on the same page. It's in proposed final, so to the extent that obviously we make tonight's meeting, we should be prepared to talk about it in the Senate. What Councilwoman Bowman referred to, there were some comments made at the last meeting to reconcile dates for the calendar and whatnot that was tweaked, so everyone should have the final version.
I have a quick question too. As far as changing these procedures, do we need to amend the charter or anything in that respect? Because why?
This is just a resolution of the procedures on the operate.
Right. And as well, can we request as well to maybe just have like a little, maybe 30-minute session with the folks instead of just, just having a document out there, us interpreting. It's just a proposal, and perhaps invite the residents as well, because I sometimes get questions, like, you have, what is it, a special committee meeting, a special council meeting, so I think it would help as well, like, give an indication to the residents as well, what you're proposing, and just get some input from them. So if that's something that perhaps can be considered by, the attorney and the council and the councilwoman Rimari.
I have a question, if I may, because it relates to me, about the job description. Is my job description the only one being changed, or is everybody's being changed? And what reason did that come to?
I know that we did all the job descriptions, but I don't know when we did the job descriptions. I think we did them about, like, but that was before this council.
I mean, I've done the ones for the administrative staff, but in terms of you all, I know that is my job description as well as the purpose of things.
The village's job descriptions are all being reviewed, have all been reviewed, are all going to be included in the employee manual.
But you're just voting on the clerks and changing or adding things to the clerks. I would like to know these as well. And would it apply to me, or is my job being open? I need to understand.
If I could, the only thing from the reason that I thought it was because we're going to have the conversation in, March, about it going full-time. That's the only reason why I thought that was being changed or looked at. But I'll let the chair answer. That's correct. And the only things that I saw that I was going to recommend was there was verbiage that you do already, but that is not on there, and that I saw it in others. And that it's just more clear, and I think that
because as it is, it's pretty extensive. If you look at it on the website, my job description is pretty. So that would entail that if I'm going to be doing more job duties, then I would get a higher pay. Because with a job description with more duties would mean a higher pay.
Well, I think that conversation would happen at the amendment meeting when we have.
I was just concerned, or I was just asking why my job description was the only one being. If there was something going on that I wasn't aware of.
Dre, I'm going to make one more comment and the chair can close, and then we're going to move to the next one. Yes, Councilman.
In respect to the concern from the village clerk, and as well to the initiative councilperson woman Rimari has, I would recommend that if we change any roles and responsibilities, we have our HR try to get that check as well in light of the consideration. What's going to happen if we change the roles and responsibilities? What does this become? To the clerk's comment, is her position is going to be posted again? I just want to make sure that those items are addressed before we move forward. And since we have a human resource person out there, it would be good to get her recommendation as well.
I don't think the committee discussed anything like that. The committee just discussed that the job descriptions, since we're looking at all of them, and the clerk's position has been discussed as for going full-time versus part-time. It was recommended that we take a look at other job descriptions from nearby municipalities, compare it to our current job description, and see if there's anything that's missing or anything that we would like to add. It was not said that we were going to add responsibilities. At this point, I don't even know if, I didn't get them back. So I don't know if any responsibilities are going to be added. At this point, we're just reviewing them and we're making sure that this village, the clerk position, is being covered correctly. Period.
The job description that's current, it's been since who was here? Since Patterson was here, and she was full-time. So therefore, I'm covering a full-time again for a part-time, which I'm still doing a lot of the time.
The committee is making this decision?
It's coming to the full council. The committee does not make any decisions.
I know how it works. I was getting to a point where I was going to say, could I have a copy of the changes and recommendations that you made?
When I get them, you can. Or when the clerk gets them, I haven't received anything.
No, okay, hold on. So, Councilperson Roman has not made any recommendations. What she did was she provided the committee 4 or 5 job descriptions of clerks within the vicinity. I'm sure it's Bisbee Park, I think it was Cutler Bay. And then it was just to compare the El Portal job description to those and see if there was anything maybe missing that we want to add, that we want to consider. And then we talk it as a committee, and then we run it to council. That's what, no recommendations.
Thank you, because, you know, we don't sit on the committee, so we don't know, so this is...
That's what I just said.
No.
We still need to get the manager evaluation done. Where you need to get the resolution to the whole council, you need to check to see if you don't have it, ask the clerk for the resolution for the meeting process. And then if the entire council wants to get the job descriptions that were sent that have it too. I need the Word document if you want me to add and recommend anything, and then we can discuss it at committee when we meet again.
And one last point, Madam Chair.
Yes, Madam Chair, we get that.
Oh, sorry.
Will we be getting the form for the attorney's evaluation as well?
There's no attorney evaluation. That you're doing your own. That was discussed at the last council meeting. I don't have the paperwork in front of me. But that can go, that procedure can be sent over to you. It's going to come here to the council for approval, for a vote. Once everything is complete, we do have a manual that's being worked on. The manager, the clerk are employees of the village, and therefore their job descriptions and evaluations will be included into that manual. The attorney is a contractor position, and so
Well, we did it for Joe.
We did it for Joe, yeah.
I put together an extensive packet for...
I don't know why we did it for Joe, but it's going to come here, and you have the right to vote on it, or to make another suggestion.
So there's a procedure to go through the attorney, which I do remember, but it has not passed committee. It's got to go through committee, then it's got to pass, and it's got to come here, correct?
Correct.
Anything else with administration and finance?
I concluded my report.
Okay. Public safety, I will be brief. Just a couple of things that are important. Hold on, stand by. Okay, so the mayor, that's me, the chief and I and the manager need to go to a roundtable on Monday. It is the 3rd one of the year. It is to give an update of what's going on with regards to the public safety after Parkland, and they're going to also go over the development of the joint legislation request for full funding, which is kind of what you were tying into, and then they're going to make recommendations to the state bill that passed, which is 7026. They want to make some recommendations to see if the Tallahassee would consider the next legislative session some changes. We don't know what they are. We will know at that roundtable Monday at 3 o'clock. 3 of us will be there. I received all the MOUs from the chief. I would just ask, it's not urgent, but go through the ones that is used often, which I would assume Miami Shores in the county, with the attorney to update and ensure that El Portal is covered with whatever is needed, and then bring it to the committee. Watchman meeting, I believe it was mentioned in the manager's report. 2 meetings have had to be canceled. One because of me and one because of the interim chief going to another meeting. So we're going to hopefully reschedule that. Today I met with the interim chief and I met with the manager, and we talked about communication. We talked about how to disseminate that communication, especially when there is an emergency or a crisis in the village of El Portal with regards to whether it's a 9-car accident, whether there's a fire, somebody passes away, suicide, whatever the case may be, there needs to be a proper protocol to disseminating that communication. And then the other thing that I don't think I said at that meeting was that, you know, Officer Battaglia, who I put on the latest Peacock Express as the Officer of the Quarter, and the reason I put that in there was because of the self-initiative that he did with communicating with residents, with Twitter, with Nextdoor, and with Instagram, and as well as spearheading the today's Citizen Crime Watch. But one thing that I forgot to mention was that if he is going to potentially continue being sort of like the PIO, you know, the public, you know, there needs to be some type of training to ensure that, you know, the department, the city is not, you know, nothing gets put out there that, you know, could be potentially, you know, he can do it, whatever. But I think that there are some trainings for that. So if he's going to continue to do that, it might be a good idea to the chief can look at some trainings for that.
We'll look into that, Mayor, but unfortunately, Officer Battaglia is not in place to do that just yet. You have to be tenured at least 2 years. So until he gets there, then we can look into that. But yes, we've been mindful that that's something that he needs.
Let me see, what else did I have? Yes, I want to just touch on really quickly what Vice Mayor Nickerson said about the best practices. There's two things that they said that I thought would be best, and I forgot to mention that today with the manager and the chief. There's a foundation called StopTheBleedingFoundation.org, and they provide free training to the police department. And it's like, I don't really know what type of training, but it's something to take a look at. And then the other thing was, which I think we talked about, but the traffic calming study did pass, let me rephrase that. The traffic calming study was done on Northeast 2nd and on Northeast 87. The only street that got potentially accepted to be considered for some traffic calming with Northeast 2nd. However, what they proposed to us is not something that we are, I know, so we had, from the email, what they proposed to us was some signs. So Juan from Pluserbia, and he put a letter and I've amended it and we've sent it over back to the county in the hopes that we can meet with them to recommend, you know, more along the lines of what the charrette had in mind for Northeast 2nd Avenue. If you guys want to see that letter, I'll send it to the clerk. I think it was about maybe a week and a half ago that email went back and forth with Juan and I and manager with regards to traffic calm. And then like Vice Mayor Nickerson said about the practices, it's really good to just have them with regards to, you know, unexpected, those mock fire alarm drills or what have you. And one of the things that the mayor from Parkland said and the other gentleman on the panel was that, you know, we do things a day in and day out, and we just forget the little things a lot of the times. And one of the big things with Parkland School was that the front door, that was supposed to be locked every single day, wasn't. So it just goes back to sort of like, if we can just get the little things done right, if we can't do the little things right, then how are we going to do the big things right? So checklist, you know, something that we can talk to the school about, whoever their security is at the beginning of the day, when all the kids go down, when the dust settles and all the kids are in the classroom, are they going through a checklist as well to ensure that all the entry points are closed? And they went through a whole series of little things like that we could recommend. And the other thing is, I spoke to Crystal Carroll a couple last week, and you know, we all remember Horace Mann, but I try to always go see Crystal Carroll, who's got the adult school, which are seniors and sort of high school, and they have the kids as well that, you know, and I believe she already spoke to the interim chief about, hey, don't forget us over here. So they are there as well. And I believe that concludes, hold on, what did I have here? I think that includes public safety for now. Yes.
I have a quick question here. I'm looking at the manager's report under the actual public safety section. I see here 2 important dates. I've seen some emails from the clerk as well. Just want to touch bases. I know I asked Norman via email but there's a couple of pre-deposition conference referencing the Olivia and El Portal case. If I want to get a little bit an update, because I see here there's a 23rd, and then on the 29th, there's another deposition conference regarding this case. So if you guys feel comfortable with, providing a quick update as well from the attorney, from the city manager, right?
That would be good. Well, I'm going to say.
One of the things that I covered today in that meeting was that as chair of public safety, I need to be a copy of all emails. Because if I am, then I can better inform not only the residents, which is my responsibility as a chair, but to the committee. And I can't be left off of email, so I think we got that covered today. If I would have known, I would have definitely covered that. So if you want to brief us a little bit, or you want to go ahead and forward the emails, this is an old case that goes back to 2009. She was a full-time police officer back in 2009. And I believe it's workers' comp and some other things. So if the manager or the attorney, but the attorney that covers this with the cities is not our attorney.
So what I can tell you is I've attended the mediations and meetings with our legal city attorney that's representing us in the Oliva wrongful termination case. And we're at the point where Ms. Oliva is represented by herself. She's representing herself. Has asked that the village provide a representative because she does not want interim chief Hufnagel to be the one providing the information because she says it's incomplete or it's been tampered with. So we have Officer Burrell as our representative who has gone over all of the submissions. These are old employee files and what have you. And so he's gone through and certified the appropriate documents and provided them for review. And now we are going to have some staff attend depositions in the coming days. I think there's some tomorrow and maybe one next week. And we'll see where it goes from there. That's it.
You will have legal counsel back in or there, or you feel comfortable you attending yourselves?
Our legal city attorney will be
there. Legal city, okay.
Yeah, he's here today preparing some documents, and he'll be back tomorrow for the deposition.
That's fine. Thank you.
That concludes my, oh, hi. You would be so proud of us, but we'll talk about that in good and welfare. That concludes my public safety report. Planning and zoning, I'm going to pass because I covered that with regards to the Little Farm in the annexed area. I'll go ahead over to the attorney.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it short. Obviously, I'll hold myself to that. Worked with staff concerning obviously preparing for tonight's meeting, preparing resolutions, reviewing the same ordinances. I'll continue to work with the issues concerning FEMA's public records requests. Work with Councilman Roman to make sure we finalize the policy and procedures and certain housekeeping with issues relating to absences, which we had for the last couple of weeks. That's pretty much it.
Okay, great. Oh, I missed something in my public safety report. This is Government Week, and I didn't get to, I tried to speak about the horseman and Phyllis Bill. I didn't get to because I'm going to actually do it at my school. So Officer Riverone is going to be going to the school on Thursday to speak to the kids about public safety and take a police car. Station 30 is going to be there as well, the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. Vice Mayor Nickerson has done it a few times in the past. Councilperson Roman is doing it this year where they come in as public service to speak. I know you guys have jobs and it's hard to get out. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll include you next year. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's great. It's 20 kids. They're all 4 or 5. They're very eager. They get excited with like stickers on our badges. They get excited with absolutely anything. So it's a day that we love. We buy food for all the guests that arrive, and all the kids are anxiously waiting to hear what they've been learning about the community and what the community leaders do in their community. So I want to thank Station 30, El Portal Police, and then Councilperson Roman that is going to be there on Thursday at 9:30. Okay, any unfinished business and general orders? No. Any new business? No. Good and welfare? Good. Come on down, Mr. March. It's been a while we've seen you. How you doing? State your name and address for the record.
Pleasure is all mine. My name is Paul March. I reside at 318 Northeast 90th Street for 30 plus years.
Can you just speak up a little bit when you're talking?
I'll try not to be long-winded. Straight to the point. On 90th Street, more than one person up in front of my house, and I've spoken about this not 5 years ago, not 10, not 15, not 20. El Portal raised the street level a while back, and in front of my house gets flooded. We can live with that. The street almost has no lighting at all. One of the few streets without street lighting. It's very dark, with long trees covering the street. So whatever lighting that could shine will not shine. Matter of fact, my block, there is one light. You cannot see it. It's covered by a tree that hangs over. Moving to something that all of us in our report have spoken about before. Trash pickup. They miss it, they pick it up when they want to. Recently I had something that should amuse everybody here. I was leaving one morning for work. The trash man said, we have to replace your trash can before it's damaged. Okay, how do I do that? Go to El Portal. I did. 2 years later, I still have a trash can that's marked on the side of it, North Miami. That's what they replaced it with, never to be replaced. No problem. We can live with that one also. Hurricane Andrew was many years ago. My neighbor's tree now possesses the whole back of my yard. And I'm not able to gain access to his backyard. So apparently I have to go through the legal system. El Portal won't help me with this. When I say complete, if anybody dares to look at my phone, I can show it to you. I have paid to have it removed more than once. But to cut this tree each time, it runs me about $2,000 to $5,000. For he's such a gentleman and a loving neighbor, cannot gain access through his yard. Hurricane Andrew was a long time ago, it was 22, 24 years ago. So I've been there over 30 years and I'm living with this. And the last but not least, the most important, how do you get anything done in this neighborhood when those same trees I'm referring to actually knock out FP&L and AT&T wires because he actually has the only tree left between 4 properties. So if anybody was just to take a look, common sense will prevail. How do we take care of these problems in a timely fashion? Evidently no longer 25 years old when I moved here, so I'm getting older. I'm going to retire and watch all this go on. Just a little bit of rain. Myself and the neighbors are flooded. No street lights. Trash is picked up sometimes only. So tomorrow's trash pickup, strong possibility, not just myself, I'm not thinking of being singled out by the trash man. It's just not picked up. And as we all see, trash and everything in the world is going up. This is not fair. And every couple of years, we get a new garbage company. Man, they do the same thing. They just don't pick up. So if anybody be interested to write down the address of my house, just drive by and look, and you'll see his tree blocking my driveway. Don't move any further, just look to the back of the house, and you'll see his tree covers the whole of my property.
March.
No, not the neighbors.
Oh.
Yes. I'm glad you might know his name. And that's how it's stayed for all these years. So we don't have one tree in my front. Just stand there and look with a little bit of code enforcement, common sense, and go, can we count 1 tree? Can we count 2, 3, 4? Don't move your head. Look to the back of the house. And I've actually purposely watched the tree grow completely over my yard. It has damaged my shed, my fence, my house, front expression, looks like a ghetto mansion. The trees, I'm being serious. My shed is completely damaged. My fence is completely damaged. My cars have been damaged. And I have never tried to sue him because I was not raised that way. You're not supposed to fight and argue with your neighbors. It should be, can we work this out? So as adults here, I am only left with one choice. And that is, well actually 2. Move away, sue him, So I'm asking people, why hasn't anybody here done their job and looked at this? Last year, code enforcement came by, they left me to paint my house, and I said, I looked, I just painted it. It's covered in green because of the trees covering the house. That's why pressure cleaning looks good again.
I just want to bring 2 points out. I really think you need to contact our village manager for most of what you talked about as it relates to the lighting on 90th Street from Northeast 3rd to Northeast 4th, which I think covers your street. You can do an FPL survey. They can come out and they can determine either their light bulbs out, or when they do tree trimming, they generally do it around lights, and they can come out, but they can do an FPL
There are
survey.
no lights.
Oh, there are no, okay, so they need to do coming to a survey.
May I present your address?
Excuse me?
I've never spoken to you about this. I've never heard any complaints or asked for a trash can or any of that, but I do need your address so that I can address some of your issues.
318
Okay.
Northeast
Northeast
90th Street.
So I can tell you this, we do have a contact at FPL, so I will contact them about the lighting to see what they can do. They also do the trimming. We don't do trimming around wires and poles, we can't. That is FPL and they only handle that. So we can contact them and take care of that. In terms of your old trash can, we can order the replacement. I can do that
Even offered
tomorrow.
to pay for the second one too.
You want 2 of them?
I've offered, I heard there's a price for it, I would love to.
We'll
I
do
got
it.
the first one, the second one.
In terms of your neighbor's tree in your yard, for that, unless there's some code violation, that is between neighbors. And that is something that you will have to handle with your neighbor.
So
But we
it's
can
not a
work
code
on that.
violation, his tree growing all the way over because of the risk of splitting hairs, like I was advised by an attorney, something I didn't know. You are able to cut the tree on your side of your property legally. We all know this, right? Okay, something I did not know from 2 separate attorneys. I am able to do that, and they are liable to pay for it. I have paid for it so many times. And now I have offered in writing to pay $7,000 to remove the tree. And the response last hurricane was, I'll think about it.
Well, in terms of the flooding, Mr. March, I can contact the county.
I like your smile, by the way, you have no response to that one.
Well, I
Maybe
can only
it's got
help
more
you.
money than brains, but
Well,
I want to end the problem. It probably starts so easy.
What I can help with, I can talk about
I
that.
appreciate that.
And so the flooding, I will contact the county about cleaning your storm drain because we've.
There are
been
no
able to-
storm drains.
There are none? Okay, well then, I don't know if I can help you on that, but I can take a look at it.
There's no storm drains. Never been, and there's no light poles. There's no trees to cut back for the light pole. It's just not there, it's non-existent, and I spoke about it many times.
Well,
I'm like a warlock, I look a little bit older, younger than what I really am, okay? So most of you, I've seen you in different places, but I've lived there for a very long time. All my kids are raised there, all 6 of them, and only 2 live with me because they want to, they're all grown. I have 2 police officers in my family, I got military, probably expressing everybody, victims, my brother just retired, about 28 years in the military. So, my mother's only 97 years old, still walks around, and she's disgusted about that tree. So, last but not least, let me get this into context. Street lighting. You're gonna look into that.
Yes.
Street flooding, there is no drains to clean.
Then I'll have to think of some other,
All right.
some other way.
Like dig a hole, all right? And we have trash cans.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a personal problem.
I can't go on your property.
Okay. Now, anybody that lives around there will tell you on that particular block, we're out of power every time the wind blows. And guess what? Because he won't let FP&L go on his property and remove his own tree that rips down the lines in the back of my house, and I see it explode. How does he get away with this legally? That's the part that's confusing to me. He stops FP&L.
Well, maybe we can ask FPL if they can assist us in some way for that. It doesn't hurt to ask.
Anybody sitting at on my address? It is not a small tree, by the way. It's huge. It is $7,000 worth of tree, and I offered to pay for it in certified mail. And I asked him, did you get the mail? And he said, yes. Will you let me do it? And he said, I'll think about it. That's over a year. Years ago, the tree was $3,500 to remove. So the tree I'm on my own. Got it. I understand that. FPL wires will keep on falling. And like your little sign over there said on the wall, trees being axed. It's a Rottingville Police Department. It takes a family to do all this. And I see today I'm probably my own in a lot of this.
I can, like I said, I offered you some assistance on some of these things, and we'll be following up with you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my number if you don't mind.
Would you please?
Thank you, Mr. Marks. Always nice to see you. Before I wrap up, Juan, all resolutions and ordinance passed. You'd be incredibly proud. We did well. Camila represented you well. I wanted you to know that. She answered all of our questions. And with that, is there any, do you have a motion to adjourn? Oh, sorry, good and welfare. Anybody else in good and welfare? Well, you're giving me the evil eye, Dr. Ward. I thought you were done with me. Okay, Dr. Ward. Dr. Ward and Ms. Brooks.
Brooks, 400 Northeast 90th Street. Before I address what I actually came up here to say, I am going to address this to the mayor. This is the second meeting I've been to that I've heard questions addressed to an individual person, and you have answered it. Why is this? A meeting I came to, Rare addressed the question to Erwin about finances or something, and he didn't answer it. He said, I want him to answer it, but you answer it. I think that that is not right. If he's asking a question to someone, or if you're asking a question to someone, they should answer the question. Okay? Number two, this question, this is for the attorney. And Mr. Attorney, with regards to the letters that I was receiving, and I spoke to you about, where are we with that?
Are you referring to the signage that we read on?
Yes.
I spoke to the manager about it. We're going to follow up on a recollection of what the promises were made concerning the payment of the sign.
Okay. Are we going to dedicate that ramp or aren't we?
I discussed that with the mayor and she was all for it.
Absolutely. We talked about that.
We
Absolutely.
talked about that.
This is just for the council to know, this is a dedication to the ramp to Mayor Black.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to go forward with that, right?
It's actually going to take the form of a resolution because our leave off was you were not sure whether or not there was actually a resolution of the council to dedicate the ramp to Mayor Black. There is not a resolution, so we will prepare one dedicating the ramp, and I guess once we get past the signage, there'll be a sign affixed there commemorating the ramp in her name.
Thank you.
No problem. Good and welfare? Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm taking a minute and a half out of my brief. Dwight Gumman, 415 North 80 Terrace. Have y'all considered doing, what's it called? Hear you. What's that called? We were talking about, I'm sorry, that's like action about. Okay. With the talk, I was listening about the elected clerk's position and all positions period. Do y'all allow people to do a self-assessment?
Should.
Thank you. Would you consider that?
Actually, I recommended it to public safety for all the police officers to do self-assessment stuff about
it.
It's a military thing, because my husband has to do his OER. So that's where I got it from, and I recommended it at one public safety meeting for all the police officers to do their own self-evaluation.
Because you do it like self-evaluation, there should be no question as to the value of that person or that person in that particular position. And I think that would like cut down on a lot of stuff, because you can see the person is assigned to do as opposed to what she or he is doing, and the assessment speaks for itself, and you can evaluate people based on that. One other thing, village manager, I heard you say that you went to a mediation.
Yes.
I think you gave her too much information at the time. So keep going. Mediations are very important. They should not have a lot of other people's names thrown into it when you're talking about it in the open forum. I had not need to know that who else was involved in that name that came up on that particular case. It's not important for you to know that as a private citizen. I think we need to be careful when we're doing this because we just get us much information. Please.
Okay, thank you.
Juan from Conservative.
Good evening, Council. Very briefly, wanted to leave you with a good note. I'm okay.
Are you okay?
I am okay, and I wanted to thank the police department for Portal to actually drive 2 blocks south of your village to at least make sure that I was okay. So I just wanted to leave you with that. But it sounds like everything went okay.
Yes, people
maybe
need to survive without you.
Maybe I shouldn't come to the next meetings if everything went okay without me.
One question.
Thank you.
I'm just glad you're okay. You almost did it. Almost did it. Gets better. Mediations are confidential. The Supreme Court certified mediator and they are confidential.
Absolutely. I am an attorney as well.
I know that's why I didn't
did
want
not
to say.
divulge anything but public information about
Okay.
the case. So
Okay. Okay. But then we love you now.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Ethics process. Robert Thompson will be happy. That's what he's talking about. Robert's been here to speak to the council years ago. He's still in charge of the outreach. He will come here and tell you that knowledge. So, Roman, you, Councilperson Roman, you still learn. I know you didn't do it on purpose, so I'm not even concerned. Ethics process, definitely listen to brother here. Councilman Mathis really knows what he's saying. Kept us out of trouble a lot of times when we were in charge. New development parcel, I thought we wanted to get rid of even the shadow of something called the Little Farmhouse. We can call it our community development project. It would be nice. It would be very nice because right now it's an eyesore. Thank you, Mayor, for bringing it up in your report. It's an eyesore. They need to be cutting their stuff. If our code enforcement can tell me, after having my tree cut 2 days before the weekend, he came and gave me a warning. And I thanked him. Did I not? I thanked him. I said, because the person down the street did have a pallet full of stuff and he did not clear it off. They're brand new neighbors. He finally did it. But when he gave me my warning, because I just had it cut, knew I was going to clear it by the weekend, but that's just Mr. Garcia. You're not going to favoritize anybody, and thank you for that. Because he gave me a warning. Had it cleared 5 days. I was going to have it cleared that weekend. They just cut it on Wednesday. Come on, I worked for them. He did his job. Commend him. Her position, all this rewriting and whatnot. This lady's almost a registered city clerk. They have a model city clerk's job description. You got to write it. You don't have to write it over. A model city clerk's position is beautiful. You know I know. So if you need a model, they have one. And it's wonderful. It's broad enough to cover everything. But you don't have to be specific. But a self-assessment is up to you. Okay? That's up to you. And last but not least, let's try to get out of here. Come on, you almost did it. But Nixon just got with it. No, thank you, I appreciate it.
No, you all are great. Any other good welfare? Go ahead. Vice Mayor Nixon wants to say something.
I make motion. I move adjournment.
Let me just say this. If you notice, when everybody did the reports tonight, people had questions. If everybody just simply wrote out a sheet of paper and sent it out, all those questions, all that back and forth would have never been done. But we got so much more done tonight. We moved the village so much further, so much quicker, because we were able in real time to have those questions and answers go back and forth in real time. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. Come back in a month, we'll be here again. Same.
Oh, there you go, straight face. That was what I was gonna say.
I move German.
Is our next council meeting before or after Thanksgiving? It's after. I want to wish everybody a wonderful.
It's before.
The council members are before? I mean, the council meeting.
No. Actually, our council meeting is after. Yeah. With that said, I would like to wish everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving. May we all be thankful for the very little things. I think we all put a lot of energy in the big things. And if I can ask anything while you're being mindful during Thanksgiving, is let's all just be a little kind. With that said, is there a motion to adjourn?
I said it twice.
Motion made by Councilperson Mathis. Is there a second? Second by Councilperson Dreyer. All in favor signal by saying aye. Any nays? Hearing none, our October 23rd council meeting concludes at 9:35 p.m.